everyone, welcome back to episode 32 of Talkoffamepod podcast. I'm Kylie. Today we have on the wonderful founder of Free of Coffee and the host of the Cornerstone Conversations, Donahue. Thanks for coming on, Lauren. I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. Really excited for this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to speak with you. So over the last 2 years, we've been in isolation. So what is something that you did over the last 2 years that you want to have time to do before?
So definitely starting the coffee business. I was full bore, ahead with my coaching businesses, my retreats. And so I had a bunch of live events and retreats scheduled for 2020 that all got canceled. So I started doing some virtual things, but in that time as well, decided to start a coffee company because I figured if everyone's at home, they're still drinking coffee when they wake up in the morning. So it makes sense to do that. So that is definitely something I probably would not have done if I didn't have the extra time at home.
For sure, because coffee is a big part of probably everyone's life nowadays since they're home and people are working from home nowadays. You have coffee as well. I love coffee. And so what made you kind of want to create a coffee business over quarantine? How did that idea come about?
So actually what happened is my Instagram account got hacked. And so I lost my whole business overnight because everything I did as far as impact and income came through Instagram. So brand partnerships, like promoting my retreats, events, things like that. So overnight it was gone. Basically, if I had a brick and mortar building, it burned to the ground. And so instead of freaking out, I went to do my unplugged morning routine as I always do. I was journaling, I had a candle, I was praying, and I was drinking my coffee. And in the back of my head, I heard my grandpa say this quote that he always used to say, which was, "The cream will always rise to the top." And what he meant by that is sometimes people get to the top really quickly and maybe they deserve to get there, or maybe they lied or cheated or stole or stepped on people to get to the top. And if that was the case, it's not sustainable long term, so they won't stay there. But for a lot of people, if you're patient and kind and have integrity and tell the truth, it might take a lot longer, but when you do get there, you'll get to stay there. And so in that moment, I was thinking about how many times he said that. And there's something about repetition too, right? Like he said it so many times that it was like in my pores, it seeped all the way into my being. And then I looked in my coffee and I thought, coffee. That's what I'll do. I'm going to start a coffee company because I can't see anything in the foreseeable future where people are going to stop fully drinking coffee, whether that's decaf or regular, and it's part of the morning routine. It's something they do every single day, so they'll run out of it. So then subscription model is really good for that, to keep ordering. And then I knew I also wanted to honor my grandfather, who had at the time Parkinson's and now has since passed from Parkinson's. And so I named my first bag the Raleigh roast, which my grandpa's name is Raleigh. And then Laleigh, the name Laleigh came from my name and my grandpa's name put together. So he has hands in all part of it. And the reason it'll be a legacy company and I'll never give up and I'll never quit is because he's my why. And we donate to Parkinson's Foundation. And so I know that even when things get hard, and business is hard, and when you're an entrepreneur, it is hard. That's the truth. And sometimes people don't tell you that. But I know that I'll never give up or quit because he's in the back of my head saying the cream will always rise to the top.
Oh, I love that. That's so amazing. Did you ever think you would do a coffee thing? Did you ever think your grandpa would kind of inspire you to make your own coffee company, or did you just pop up quick in your head?
You know what's so funny is my initial response to that would have been absolutely not. I never would have thought I would have done coffee. It wasn't even something in my mind. But what I did realize when my Instagram account got hacked and I was thinking about these ideas, and once I thought coffee company, I went back and I found a business plan I wrote in 2006 in college, and it was called Broadway Bagel and Coffee Company. So back in 2006 in college, I wanted to open a coffee shop, which I had forgot about. I never would have ever thought about it ever again, but I found the business plan and I thought it was so cool because I did so much research back then on coffee shops, how to be profitable, how to create community. So it was really fun because it helped me revisit that. And then as far as my grandfather, he has been my biggest mentor, coach, supporter, fan, father figure, grandfather. He pretty much filled every single role that anyone could fill. He was like 10 people in one. He was my whole team, my whole squad. And so I knew that anything I did in life, I would be thinking about him, and that I wouldn't be who I am without his wisdom, without his guidance and support. So yes, he's very much the reason why I'm an entrepreneur, the reason why I've never given up on my dreams, because that's something he always said too, is never give up, keep moving forward. And he would always say, know your raison d'etre, which for the longest time, I didn't know what language that was or how to spell it or what it meant, but it means reason for being. So he said, as long as you know your reason for being, why you're here, then you'll always keep moving forward. And it took me a long time to figure that out, but I know now my why is to facilitate relationships so we can live in a more connected world. So everything I'm doing, I'm helping facilitate relationships, connect people, bring people together. And what better way to come together than over a cup of coffee?
Yeah, exactly. I love that. There's so many people that I look up to, like in terms of family, like people in industry, no matter what it is. And I have 2 journalists in my family that work for the local news station. They inspired me to do that, like do this. And I've never pictured myself doing this, because like I grew up being such a scared, shy little kid. That was like, how is a girl that's really shy supposed to do a podcast? Like, how is that possible? Because they have to talk a lot. Like, how are you going to do that? And so I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, I don't think it's possible for me to do right now. And so my cousin Robert, if you're doing this, you're gonna kind of go shout out, say, but like he is like a father figure. He gives me motivation, always there. He's like, don't give up on your dreams. Like he always inspires me, always gives me encouragement, always gives me love. Like he always keeps me going. And he's the reason why I'm still doing this. Besides, he gives me inspiration. Like he always says, don't give up. Like don't get away, and like do what you do to get your dreams come true. And that's why I love. Like if it wasn't for him, like I probably wouldn't, like for his inspirations and my family's like inspirations and encouragement, I wouldn't have gone this far right now if I didn't have encouragement. And so like this is what I kind of like love, because I get to talk to people like you and so many other people. Like if it wasn't for the support and for the people listening and get answering and being so kind to be on the podcast, I couldn't ask for anything better, really.
It's so important to have that. I'm so glad that you have that. I always tell people it's at least one. There's one person who believes in you before you believe in yourself, and they keep telling you until that belief switch finally turns and you believe in yourself, and then you go do it. Like all the things that you never thought possible, that you would never be able to do, someone believes in you enough that it switches that belief factor for yourself, and then you do it.
Exactly. So as you kind of had like a lot of free time over the kind of last 2 years, did you binge watch any shows or movies over quarantine, even like watch or never watched?
Yeah, it's really funny because I haven't owned a television in 15 years, and I didn't really grow up watching TV because my grandpa had me outside playing sports and like picking up sticks in the yard. But I did get into Ted Lasso with my mom when I was back in Kansas, and I am obsessed. I want to be Ted Lasso when I grow up, without the mustache. So yeah, Ted Lasso is one. And then I just started watching, I think it's something, The Gemstones. It's with Danny McBride, and it's kind of like this faith-based, Christian-based, but like comedy, which is totally me put together. I love humor and I love Christianity and all of that. So that's been a fun one to start watching. But other than that, I'm more of like binging on books than I am on like television.
Yeah, I like same exact way. I'm like outdoors. I love to be outdoors, traveling, hiking, anyway outdoors. I'm like a little adventure person. I like to travel, like I do all these things. Like I watch TV, like I love reading. But like, what's like your favorite book that you read so far?
Oh my gosh, I have so many favorite books. I have a whole like stack over next to my bed of all the business books I'm going to read this year. So all in that category, Rocket Fuel. So it's talking about whether you are a visionary or an integrator. Now, sometimes people are both, but usually you're more one than the other. Mm-hmm. I am 100% visionary, 0% integrator, which means I need someone to take my ideas and make them happen. Otherwise, I am just full of ideas. My notebooks are full of ideas, but nothing will ever get done if I don't have the integrator. So that's like a really important piece for business. So rocket fuel. If you're wanting to narrow down and niche down and focus at least for a year, I would say The One Thing by Gary Keller has got me to like zone in on one thing. And once you build one thing for at least a year, then you can start doing other things. But it's really hard to generate income if you are letting your energy get dispersed into multiple different things. So start with one, focus on that until it's a well-oiled machine. Then you can kind of add in some things. That's my best piece of advice for business. I think the reason why people aren't more successful or successful in the way they want to be is that they put their hand in too many baskets in the beginning and they're never giving 100% to anything. So highly recommend that. And then as far as personal development, the 4 Agreements, that is absolutely amazing. And so those would be my 3 books in different categories.
So I love that. Like I'm like into reading. I love learning things, even to real life or fiction or nonfiction. And like I literally have like a little stack in my books that I read or haven't read. And so like I just like I'm gonna start reading this book. I forget what it's called, but it's about Harry and Meghan Markle. And so like it's about them. I forget what it's called. I'll let you know on that. But like
yeah, let me know.
I'm really into the royal family and all those things. I love the royal family. So like I was like, this would be good for me to read. And I love learning everything. I love learning what's inside of people's lives and life. I like history. Like I kind of love history and things that are happening nowadays. And so like I'm like love like anything that involves history or about people's lives, and it's obsessed.
That's my grandpa. He is like the history buff who would remember everything about everyone and tell me, like, history lessons were a daily thing with him. And when I was younger, I was so annoyed. And then when I got like, as I got older, it was my favorite thing about him. And I wish I would have paid even more attention.
Yeah, the same exact way. I'm the person that knows everything. Like even if like someone asked me like about a question about somebody, I'll be like, I respond quickly about this person. Like I'll give them facts, I'll give them every single thing. Like I just like know a lot of things. Like I'm having like a very good memory, so I'm like I can spit out like a lot of things.
Yeah, that's such a good quality. I love that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned kind of before, you're a host of Cornerstone Conversations. So when did you want to kind of start that?
Yeah, so that's a fun one. When I first started the coffee company, it was not called Laleigh Coffee. It was called the Coffee Collective. And then that didn't work. So we went to Higher Love Coffee and then Cornerstone Coffee. So when Cornerstone Coffee was a thing, and I was thinking, if I don't have Instagram to promote this, then let's do a podcast to promote the coffee company. And so Cornerstone Conversations came from that, from Cornerstone Coffee, the name. And then the whole idea behind Cornerstone Conversations is that you're only one conversation away from a completely different life, right? So because of this conversation we're having right now, I'll go read a book that I wasn't going to read, or I'll do something I wasn't going to do. I'll change a behavior and get a different result. And anyone listening will probably hear one nugget of inspiration that they take with them, and it could help them start a business or go into a new relationship or move cities or something like that. So that's the whole idea behind Cornerstone Conversations, is just that no matter what you're doing, it could be a stranger at Trader Joe's, but one conversation away from a completely different life. When you hear something and you get it and it sinks in and you go change what you're doing because of it, your life changes forever. So that's kind of the idea behind that.
Oh, I love that. Like this is like the reason kind of why I started this, is because I give people inspiration. Like go out there and do it. Like do what you want to do to be happy. Live your life to the fullest. Like be like, you know, like live your day like it's your last. Like do whatever you need, travel, like get pets, like do whatever you want, get inspiration from you and many other people. Like go out there and do it. Don't give up. Like there's people like you. Like don't give up on what you want trying to do. Like there are people like you. Like go be like this person you always wanted to be. Go ahead and do it. Like the person you always wanted to be.
I love that. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it, girl.
Yeah, do it. So what do you hope people will take away from your coffee company?
You know, I think it's part of that. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur before I could spell entrepreneur. I'm not even sure I could spell it right now, but way back when people wanted to be doctors and lawyers and everything, I knew I wanted to have my own company. So I knew that from a very young age. I just didn't know exactly what. And I did trial and error. I've owned gyms, I've owned different companies, like all kinds of things. But it wasn't until Laleigh Coffee that I felt like it was an actual legacy company, something that could live on beyond my time here. And the whole brand is actually Laleigh versus Laleigh Coffee. And the word Laleigh in British and I think Australian slang means money, like abundance. And then Lee is like open and expansive. So I want people to feel abundant, open, expansive. And I also want people to like come together, right? Facilitate relationships to live in a more connected world, knowing that like we belong together. We weren't meant to do life alone. We were meant to do life together. And so having a cup of coffee brings people together. And then also knowing with that, that you're giving back, right? Every bag of coffee, we donate to a different charity. So the Raleigh Roast goes to Parkinson's Foundation. The Bonnie Brew, which is my grandma, we donate to American Red Cross because she's been donating blood for over 40 years. She has saved over 805 lives. She does it every 2 months, like 35 gallons of blood she's donated. And I want her to know, because she's almost 90, that when she's not able to go in person anymore, that we're still donating and helping save lives. So, and then we did one for breast cancer awareness, and we'll keep doing that. Like each bag will give back to a different charity. So I want people to know that's also possible when they start a business, that there's like the profitability, but there's also the availability to give back.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. Like the last 2 years, like every year for Christmas, we started like last year or something. My family has been like kind of raising money on Christmas. Whatever money we get, we donate to different companies and stuff that are like kind of important to our family, especially on my father's side. And so like I'll forget what we did last year, but like this year my family donated to this place. There's like this place where the food they gave food to my grandmother, but she was in the nursing home before she passed away.
Oh.
And so like she had a lot of health problems. Like she passed away when she was like 88 years old. And so like she had a lot of problems, had a lot of strokes, like she had a lot of problems. And so it's to the point where she had to stay in nursing home. And so like 2 years ago, like my family came up with the idea to give back and try to do things to help other people. And this year we kind of thought like we should give something that's important to that helps my grandmother and give back to what they do to give back, like how important they are to us for helping our family and everything.
Yeah. And I think when people are deciding who to give back to, how to give back, I think it gets really overwhelming because there's so many options. It's like every day I have people asking for me to donate to something, and I have like my church and all of that. So I think what's important is to kind of go inward and see what's on your heart. Like, what are you connected to? And that is something that you're connected to. So like, again, along the lines of the one thing, choose one charity per year that you could donate to, that you can go to races. There's like all different things. And each year I'll try to pick a different charity and donate to that. Or I set aside a budget monthly, say it's $500, and that could be allocated anywhere, but it's 500. So when that's out, then the next person that asks it's a no for right now, right? Like maybe next month. So I think just like getting really clear on things that are near and dear to your heart and focusing on those, knowing that you can't donate to everything, but you can donate to one thing or a couple of things.
Yeah, exactly. Like I have so many organizations close to my heart, but one thing that's involves like very close to me was anything that involves kind of cancer charities. Because like I had a lot of people in my family on both sides of the family that had cancer and passed away from it. And so like I had family close that passed away from cancer and everything. And I hear stories from like celebrities and everything, from personal connections to people I never knew, like from like best friends and unknown people. And so like there's so many people I like to help, and I do try and help as many people as I can with cancer, even as a support or whatever you need, food, like whatever it is, I try to give as much as I can. And Patrick Dempsey has his own organization called Dempsey Center. And he created that based on his own mother. His mother passed away in 2014 from ovarian cancer, which my Nana had ovarian cancer as well. And so he made that Dempsey Center as memory of his mother. And so that's kind of something next couple of years I kind of want to do, make an organization about cancer or something close to my heart to help people with it and get support wherever needed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you should absolutely do that and never give up on that idea.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have anyone that you look up to as a host and founder or just in general?
I mean, it always goes back to my grandpa. Like, he wasn't necessarily a founder or a host, but he's the person I talk about all the time that I look up to, that I want to be like. I want to have his heart, his eyes, his integrity, his character, just the way that he showed up for strangers, right? He would always say to me, when I would say, "Thanks for helping me with this, Gramps," he would say, "I'd do the same for a friend." And of course, at the time, I took that personal. Like, I'm not special. But what he meant is, whoever's in need, whoever needs my help at the time, I will be there for them. And I think it's so cool that he was that way, and he really would show up for anybody at any time. It was so beautiful. And they had an open door policy. And so it's funny because I look back now, I kind of have that where in any of my homes, I'm like, yeah, come in, stay for however long. And I didn't know where that came from, but looking back, I see that it came from them. So he's definitely the person I look up to. If I'm thinking of current right now, founder, probably one of my mentors was Chris Harder. I was in one of his masterminds and coaching from him. So I would say I look up to him and how he does business and how he kind of like diversifies what he's doing. So I would say, yeah, that's probably a one.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like there's not a lot of people in our kind of generation that are so kind of people take care of others before they take care of themselves. There's not a lot of people that do that. And so there's not a lot of people, especially that are just caring and always say, call me when you need something. I'm like, do whatever you want, call me. And so that's what I do. Like whenever, there's my grandmother's the same way. She gives back to everyone. She's always gives money to homeless, always gives back. And that's what I kind of love about my grandmother, that she always gives back. She's so kind. She always gives back to everyone. And that's something that I kind of want to carry on when I'm getting older and everything. And my cousin, I have to mention my cousin Robert as well. He's always, he's a very kind, caring guy. He is, he's always there. When I'm upset, he's always give me a call when you're down. If you need someone to talk to, call me. And he's always there in motivation. He's like a little father figure to me. Him and my father were really close. And so I grew up being really close to him. And we just had something, a little special bond I never kind of experienced before. I have no kind of bond like that. And so at least you have people that you have people that you want to be with, and you want to be one day. That's something I kind of want to carry on for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So important to have those people in your life.
For sure. So what is some advice for younger generations that would like to be in the same kind of position as you one day?
I think it goes right back to that advice from my grandpa on never giving up. Just keep moving forward. Know your why. Know your raison d'etre. When you know your reason for being, no matter what comes your way, trials, struggles, roadblocks, you'll just pivot and figure it out. So don't give up on your dreams. Whatever the dreams are deep inside, the heart, the desire on your heart, the way that you want to make an impact in this world. So just keep going. Pivot when you need to, change things up, but keep going and never give up. And you'll eventually land on something that's in full alignment, which for the first time in my life, and I'm 35 years old, Laleigh coffee is in full alignment. And that feels so good to know that I want to talk about it every day. I want to share it with people. I love the mission, everything behind it. And that all came from trying 100 different things and seeing what worked and what didn't work. So you're going to start a ton of businesses. They're going to fail, but you're going to fail forward and learn lessons. So learn something along the way and then take that into the thing that you're going to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I totally agree with everything you're saying. I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you. I can really talk to you all day long. I won't stop. And so you're amazing. Keep going at it. Let's speak soon. We have to do another of these episodes again soon. We need to talk about more other stuff. But I just want to thank you so much. And let's speak soon for sure.
Thanks, love. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.